Hey everybody, it's Kelly and I'm back with this month's product placement video, and that is the series, and I'm just going to move my little mat here. That is the series that Rachel Reynolds and I do where we take one product and we try to use it on our layouts, whether we use a lot of it or in different ways or whatever it is, we try to use it on our layout. So you may guess by looking at this that we're going to do stamps this month. This one scares me a little bit, and I think I told Rachel that, but that's okay. It's just because it's a challenge. I own stamps. I don't own, I own a lot of them, but mostly word stamps. I don't own a lot of image stamps. Word stamps I find I do use a little bit more, but I don't use a ton on my scrapbook pages. I do use them in card making as well, but I thought when Rachel suggested stamps, I thought, great, awesome, let's do it. And before I forget, we are getting to the end of products that we think we can use or have used already. So if you have any suggestions for us, please put those in the comments. Our other thought is that we might just go back and start over. So we might reuse chipboard again, and might do wood veneer again, or whatever it is, might do tags again. Just throw ideas in comments, or are you in for seeing us do another round of it, or would you rather have us come up with another series? So anyway, back to today's series, stamps. So this is how I store my stamps. I'm going to tell you a little bit about storage first. These are the Avery Elle pockets, and then I just cut the white backing from paper. You can find information on how to do this all on Jen McGuire's YouTube channel. I used my label maker to put the name of the vendor, the collection, and then stamp name on this particular one. So that's how I store all my stamps, except for my ones that don't fit in these pockets. If they're big, I still need to get to Office Depot because I heard that they carry bigger pockets. So, and the thing I like about these is they do close. I could put my bigger ones in thicker pockets, but they don't close. So that's one thing I don't like. So that's stamp storage. And then I just put these in I have them in a wicker basket sitting up on top of my shelves. This is how I store my inks. Or my larger inks. These are, I have 2 cigar boxes like this. These are my Hero Arts inks. If I have a foam pad for them, I just put it right on top. I know you can Velcro this, but I just thought this works just as well for me, just because I don't use them all that well. And I have 2 of them out of here right now because I'm going to use them today. I also do have some of my really common inks, like my black ink, my brown ink, my vintage photo distress ink, that gray flannel dewdrop ink, and my other distress inks in a drawer right next to me. Just they fit in there really well. These did not. So that's how I store stamps. That's how I store inks, just in case anybody had any questions. You can also see some more of that information in my scrap room organization. So today, back to the stamping, I'm going to use this stamp right here, and I'm going to create a background on my layout. And I will tell you, I am not a genius with stamping. I watched Jen Schou's video, she did a stamping series a few years ago, so go back. I think it's called Stamping and Scrapbooking. Go back and grab that because there's lots of great hints. So I'm going to combine some of her ideas with some of my own ideas and do that. But one of the things she did was stamp as a background. So this is my photo. This is my granddaughter on the day she was 6 months old. The poor dear, though, it was the middle of summer, had a fever, so I felt so bad for her that day. This is her other grandpa. I'm going to use these 3 inks. This would be the Hero Out Shadow Ink, Mid-Tone Shadow Ink in Stonewash, the Mid-Tone in Pale Tomato, and then the Colorbox Pigment, brush pad, so the Cat's Eye in Canary. And what I didn't just decide to do that. I did some checking of what things were going to look like against a piece of paper that I thought I might use. I do like this with this, but the blue paper I'm thinking about using, and I'm going to go grab it, guys, is this one right here. It looks great with that cover, but this is what the actual color is right here. So what I did is, then I went back and I looked at the 3 colors together, and I liked those 3 colors together. I did try green and didn't like it. And this is where I was doing some tests. I actually went through my stamp inks today to make sure that everything I had was still good. So, and I threw out about 3 or 4 little things. I still need to go through my cat's iPads. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do start off with. And what I'm going to do is stamp a strip here in these colors. And what I'm going to do, I forgot to trim this to 12 by the strip to 12 inches. So I'm going to quick do that. Now guys, and this paper is, by the way, came from a Maggie Holmes open book, I believe. So I'm not sure about that for sure. So let me get this photo out of the way, because the last thing I want to do is get ink or wash or anything on it. I do have my baby wipes handy, because I'm going to just clean my stamp in between, and you'll see why that's going to be important. I'm going to grab my craft mat here, because what I want to do is I don't want to necessarily I want to stamp off edges. I guess that's the big thing, right? So I'm just going to take the covers off of these, and this one I'll have to obviously ink my stamp. It's already on the pad. So I'm going to start out with my first color here, and I think I'm just going to put this right here and see if that works. Although I like getting this a little bit closer to me to make sure. Now, one of the things about stamping is there is no perfection in stamping, right? And that's not always the greatest for me. I'm not always completely comfortable with that, but I'll have to deal with it, right? Because we're doing stamping today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to get these close. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to just stamp in the same order, I think, every time, where I do, you know, blue, red, yellow, that kind of a thing. So now here, I'm going to go through here, kind of find a place I like it, and stamp. One of the reasons this craft mat is nice is that now I just stamped off there, and that's okay. It's not bothering anything. This yellow is really intense. It doesn't come off as easily. And then I think I'm going to pop another yellow one on that side right there. So far, so good. So far, I like how this is looking. And I just lifted up my stamp there, so we'll see if I like this in the end. So I think, guys, what I'm going to do is I'll put you on fast forward and come back to you. You're gonna watch, you can watch the whole process, or either that or I'm just gonna cut it out until the stamping is done. I don't know for sure. We'll see what happens in the end, all right? So I'm just gonna keep doing this, and we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so here is how the stamping came out, and I love it. I'm gonna bring this up so you can see it. It looks fantastic. Now, the one thing is that when I saw the tutorial that I did with Jen, she did not leave it like this. She actually took the stamp, the ink, put some water in it, and then colored each of the flowers to make it look a little bit more like an actual pattern paper. And I think I'm going to try to be brave and do this. So I played around a little bit with each of the 3 colors. Now, this paper is warping and buckling. This one will too, because it's not prepped. But I'm going to say that's okay. It's a different technique. It's something new. And I'm just going to go with it. So when I played with it, I got the hang of the red a little bit faster than I did the blue. So what you do is you just take your craft sheet. You could do this on a big block. I also own a big block you could do this on if you don't have it. And you can grab a paintbrush with water, or I'm going to grab a water brush, and I'm just going to test this out here because I want it to be light. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop color in here. Now, if you're using, you have to be careful with this because the water can reactivate the ink, especially if you happen to be using something like a distress ink. So just be careful with what you're doing here as you do this. And I just want a little bit of color in these flowers. I don't want them bright because obviously I want you to be able to see the stamping lines and how that looks. So let me just bring this up to the camera. So I'm thinking that's pretty fantastic. I went just with that one done. I really like it compared to how it looks with all the other ones. So I'm just gonna go through, and it's best, you know, you can always add color. It's like your watercoloring, and you could do this. I did grab my set of watercolors, which is just a cheapo set, I think from, it's one of the cheapo Amy sets that Amy Tangerine uses, that you can get like at Michael's and that kind of thing. It's this palette. There's no name on it, so I can't tell you what it is. But anyway, I grabbed that just in case I didn't like how it looked with the stamps. You know, fortunately, I stamped a little bit on that test sheet first. And by the way, that test sheet is just some old paper from one of my Simple Stories 6x8 pads when they used to include that. And so this is definitely warping and buckling. So if you don't like that look in your scrapbook, I would say don't do this. Or do the technique and gesso your page. Don't do it on a piece of pattern paper. And one of the things that Jen recommended is that it would look more like it was an actual pattern paper if you did it on something with a pattern behind it. One of the things she suggested was word paper. So, except word paper, that's not the term I want. But anyway, I didn't really have a lot of that, so I didn't do it. Now, I'm trying to be careful because I am getting a decent amount of water on this paper. So what I think I'm going to do is just put you guys, like, just stop the camera again, because that's what I did with the last one. Because otherwise I have to delete all the footage, and that's kind of a pain in the neck in editing software. For those of you who edit videos, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but what I think I'm going to do is just, and I'm just adding a little color over there. I think I'm going to just turn the camera off, and I'll come back to you as soon as this is done. But this is how you do it. Just stamp your ink pad on, grab a little water, and I'm using a water brush, but you can use a regular paintbrush or whatever you want to use to get the color on. Be back in a few. Okay, so time to put the layout together. I'm going to use this blue paper and this red paper, but I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to back the photo with and which one I'm going to back the stamped piece with. And the red is kind of a pinky corally red, so I decided I really like that because it really, my granddaughter is wearing a blue little onesie with a corally color in it. So I'm going to use that reddish paper. That's from the Dear Lizzie Stay Colorful 12x12 pad. And then I'll use this blue paper, which is from Maggie Holmes Flourish. It's the Emma paper, to back that stamped paper. All right, so I'm going to really need to put a lot of adhesive on this because it is warped, fairly decently warped with there, which as I said, I'm fine with that. If you don't like it, don't use the water technique. Just stamp your image, but I really like how that looks like it was meant to be on that piece of paper. Like it was a full pattern paper. All right, so I'm just going to add that in, get that down, and what I just showed you there is it's the paper that I stamped on is a little short, and that came out of a paper pad, so maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure. I don't think I cut it short. I think it actually happened because it was part of the paper pad. All right, so you're seeing there I always make a little note about something about the layout or notes I want to make. So now I am going to this package of flowers here from Maggie Holmes Flourish. It's an ephemera pack. and trying to decide what to do. And I'm thinking about perhaps bringing out the peachy corally color. And then I found this Happy Day chipboard, which is from the Dear Lizzy thickers from the Fine and Dandy collection. They're the Darling Details thickers. And I like that it says Happy Day, because it was kind of a happy day because it was her, she was 4 months old. Originally, I wrote 6 when I first started, but then I all of a sudden realized, wait, she's not 6 months old in these papers, or in this picture. Anyway, wish that had been a little bit bigger. I would have used that to back it because the colors were perfect, but that's fine. And then when I was going through that Fine and Dandy envelope, because I knew it had that reddish corally color in it, and I wanted to see if I could find a journaling spot, I found this yellow striped paper, which again was from Fine and Dandy, but I don't know, I think it's from Fine and Dandy, but I don't know what it actually is. And then that little journaling spot is from the Dear Lizzy Fine and Dandy Pretty Presents paper, which is the cut apart journaling paper. Now I have these hearts, these fringed heart die cuts from Hobby Lobby. It's from their Valentine's Crafts line from 2016. So they're the Be Mine Valentine heart. I just like how it has that corally color in. And I realized I don't have any yellow in any of the embellishments, and I do like this yellow flower, plus it's going to kind of echo the yellow paper behind the photo there. Which when I first started this was not my intention. I was going to stay blue and coral, but then it kind of looked like it was a red, white, and blue layout, so I liked the idea of adding this in. I decided to cut off the, quote, greenery on this flower, which was more like bluey black. And I'm okay with the fact that it's printed on the flower, but it was a little too much. So I ended up cutting that bud off as well. Now on those Valentine pieces, it does say Be Mine, and I need to cover at least one of those, or whatever. I'm thinking about covering them. I realized I forgot to cover one of them, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it. It's fine. The other one I'm going to cover with this bud that I cut off, and I like the way that works. If I'd had another bud, I would have done it. I mean, I could go back and add something to it, but I really think it's okay. Like a bow, or like I guess I could put the one of the bows up there, but I think that would be like I could put the blue bow up there, which now would be weird because the background is finished. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it as is. It's kind of a sweet little sentiment, that Be Mine thing, that little Valentine-y thing, that I think people will understand. Okay, guys. Now I'm just adding in those stick pins, and those are from Little Yellow Bicycle. They're old, but I just got them, like, I don't know, less than a year ago at a closeout place. So they're the heart stick pins. Those bows are from the Paper Studio. They're the Flea Market Fancy Mini Bright Bows. So I'm going to add 3 of those. I love using bows on her layouts just because I don't get too often, and she's wearing that big bow on her little onesie there. Hey guys, by the way, I will put a link to Rachel's video in the description, so don't forget to go watch that too, to see how she handles our little stamping challenge here. All right, so I'm just kind of getting these positioned and adding in. I'm going to add, make sure that they stay put so they're not flipping around by using that, some mini Zots, they're glue dots. I don't know if they're Zots or not, but anyway, they're mini glue dots. They're the little tiny, tiny ones. And guys, I already know as I'm taping this that I forgot some stuff, so I'm going to come back to you again. So just in case I forget to say it, hope you guys are well. And there will be still shots and detail shots at the end, because I don't think I said it in the last part of the last clip of this layout that I recorded. All right, getting all of that down, and now I believe I need a title here. I don't need one. It would be fine just like it is. So here's where I write, where I put down, I'm kind of checking to see if I can get the word months on there, which I can't. So I put down 6 months. She's really 4 months old, and I go back later and change that out. And that is the Happy Thickers font. I think that came from one of the Maggie Holmes collections. So, all right, guys, I am just about done. So I'll come back and I'm going to add a couple more details, or show you a couple more details that I added as I cleaned up. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I'm back for just a second because as I was cleaning things up, I realized a couple of things. First of all, I had pulled this label sticker to use because it's the kind of corally color in here, and forgot to put it on. So I put it up over here underneath that pink bow that was there. And then I forgot to do my last bit of stamping. So I have a few date stamps. I have a basket full of them, small basket, but I do have a basket full, and I never use them. So I wanted to do that. So I did that here, where I added the date here, and I did the stamp off too, because then you don't have to worry about if it's perfect or not. And then the next thing I did is I grabbed these, and I love these Allie Edwards December Daily Christmas phrases, and there are Christmas pieces here, but there's a lot of things like time together and comfort and joy and give and giving and savor the moments and create joy and the reason why and today equals awesome. Just a lot of stuff like that, connecting with others, time together, and we'll love this season as Christmas. But I used the love from that here. So I stamped off, and I got love today and joy here. And I just realized that this is actually not 6 months. She was actually, let's see, July. So she's actually 4 months old here. So I need to get the 4 on there, not the 6. But anyway, so I wanted to come back because when I turned the camera, I thought I turned the camera back on, and I did not. So you would not have seen this if I hadn't, well, you would have at the end, but it would have been harder. So I just wanted to go through it with you with the, so I can show you the process here. Anyway, and then the other thing, I do have to get the journaling on here because the story is we were all supposed to go camping, and it was really hot. Well, she ended up getting sick. This really is her 4-month birthday. She ended up getting sick and was feverish, so Grandpa was holding her, and it was so sweet, and I felt so bad for her. But anyway, so that is the layout. I hope you guys enjoyed the process, and go have fun and stamp away, because I managed to do it, guys. Bye.